Hello, my name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center, and I'm delighted to be here because I get to talk about Kahoot, a quiz, a wonderful quiz tool that I think has a lot of powerful features for the classroom. I'm also joined here with my colleague. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt, Director of Technology for OPSRC, and Kashawn and I make up the tech team here.
If you ever want to reach out to the tech team, you can do so through here at techteam@opsrc.net. We would love to hear from you. We could talk about technology. It doesn't have to just be about Kahoot or Tech Talks. It can really be about any piece of technology out there. I'm sure we would love to hear from you. So shoot us an email through that. Additionally, if you're joining here live, you can have access to these slides on here. I have an address for you on here. It's lowercase t period ly/uppercase Z, the number 8 and 9, and then lowercase j. I say that because it's all case sensitive too. So if you wanted to have that, it is right there. And I think it's quite useful. There'll be lots of little links and things that you can get access to through the slide, and you can follow along as well. But for right now, I want to spend just a little bit of time showing off kind of the features of Kahoot here through an example Kahoot. So I'm over here. I've swapped over. I'm doing kind of a preview here. Yeah. Let me turn my volume off on that. And if you want to play along, you're very welcome to on here. Right now, I'm kind of like in a preview mode where on the left-hand side gives me a mobile device. This is like what a student might be using to get access to this. Ooh, yeah, come on in. And then if you want to join, there's some instructions on here as well, just to help out, just in case you're like displaying this to your students, like in a live classroom setting. So they would go to kahoot.it, then enter in that game pin. And so that's what I'm going to do in here. So you can see, we'll play a little bit of a game here. So real easy for students to go in. They don't need an account. Really, all they just need is a device that has that's able to go through a web browser. I'm going to give myself a nickname. Let's go with Cash Money. There we go. Okay. There we go. Real fun. All right. Now that we have all these people on here, I can get started. But if you see, you can use a nickname generator, but I forgot to turn it on for this one, it looks like. And so if you see your students come in here and they have a name that's inappropriate, you can click on their name. It will kick them out and they have to try again and give an actual name. That works quite nicely there. So let me join back up. Can I use the same name here? Okay, yeah, that's great. I'm going to say it's fine for right now and start. So we'll do an example quiz here so you can see some of the features here. So note on my screen down over here on the left-hand side, it's going to become a thing that I can answer in. And on the right-hand side, you can see the questions themselves. They pop up here. There is a timer here, so let me just try to answer this real quick. Oh, there we go. Nice. And so there is scores attached to each one of these questions here. Every time you answer, the quicker you answer, the more higher score you get. And if you get an incorrect, of course, you don't get as much score. But one really nice thing about this is the fact that this shows results to your students as well. So just in case you see a bunch of students answer one of these other answers, you can use it as an opportunity to review with instruction here. So I'm going to do the next one here, get a nice little leaderboard there, just so they can see kind of their place in here, just kind of as a fun little competition here. Let's see, this question, OPSRC stands for Outstanding People Supporting Reasonable Causes. Close. I'm going to say that's close, but not quite, and that's totally fine. And if you answer a question incorrect, you can lose your answer streak, which doesn't get net you enough points, but that's totally fine. But you can have some true or false questions in here, multiple choice style questions in here as well, just to kind of mix things up on here. So this is this my favorite YouTube video? So something that you can do is have videos play in the place of questions, which is really quite nice. If you've been to any one of my other tech talks, you should know the answer to this question. All right, yeah, fantastic there. I can see the results on there as well. And then one last one on here, we'll do another question. Oklahoma is the only state that produces what? So I have a nice kind of picture over here. You can use that just to kind of either support your question or just make things a little bit more interesting on there. Very nice. Then at the end, it does kind of like a nice little graphics thing on here. It kind of puts players on like a little podium. So just kind of takes advantage of those different game elements just to make it a little bit more engaging as well. So that is so you can have a clear idea on what Kahoot is about. And you can even get feedback and give feedback as well. And there's a lot of nice little reporting features as well that I would love to show off if we got the time for that. So thank you so much for playing, everybody, on that. Let's jump on into what this Tech Talk is about. Real quick, the schedule that we have here is I'm going to do my introduction, which I've just done. I'm going to go into a bit of theory where I start asking a couple of questions just to try to lay down the foundation here so we can get a little bit more out of our Tech Talks. I ask you to reflect a bit here. Next, we'll answer questions specifically about the tool that we're here for, which is Kahoot in this case. And then I'll do a little bit of showcase, showing you some of the features, how to get yourself started for your classroom, how to get into it, how to create a Kahoot, and so forth. Then after we have that, I'm going to wrap things up with discussing some tool applications. I'm going to invite you to think about what would this tool look inside of your classroom. And then finally wrap up by sharing some goodies with you in the form of some links, some extension activities, some how-tos to help you review, all that I think are going to be quite useful for you here. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, my objective after this training, teachers will be able to integrate Kahoot in their classroom to assess students and help them achieve their learning goals. So with that objective, just to kind of break down a few of the important key pieces there. First of all, the question that I would like to challenge you all to think about is, why do we assess? What kind of value can we get out of doing something like that? Because we do spend quite a bit of time assessing students, and I want to just make sure that we understand what kind of results are we looking for here. And so I do this in the form of this article by Edutopia, Why is Assessment Important? It gives a couple of suggestions. I know you might have some personal ones from yourself, but I want to read off a couple of these and just expand on a few of them. First of which, of course, doing assessment gives us the opportunity to give students feedback. That way we can make our lessons more flexible and we can tend to the needs of the students here. Next, we use it as an opportunity to apply standards. Here, we want to make sure that we are making sure students are getting what they need, and we use those standards as kind of goalposts to shoot for here, and assessments help us do that. Next, we do it to evaluate progress. We want to make sure that the students are on track to hit those standards. Another thing is use it to relate progress, which I think is important, and it's kind of overlooked at times, is the fact that whenever we do an assessment, it's really just a snapshot in one point of time, but we can use it, we can use a combination of assessments to really capture a fuller picture here. We can relate it to different points of times for the student to get a better idea of their understanding here. And then finally, we can use it to motivate performance. Now for this one, we can use it for students, which I think is really great. We get them to figure out what they need to know for and then shoot them towards that. But we can also use it for ourselves, for educators, for us to really understand what's working with what I'm doing and what do I maybe need to replace? What do I need to update here? Maybe there's something here that I need to take out, or maybe I need to revisit something. And I think it's good for that. So please try to keep these in mind as we kind of wrestle and tackle a bit with how to use Kahoot in a meaningful way. The next question that I want to also ask you to reflect is how to integrate technology. There's lots of ways to answer that question, but here's one that I would recommend is the SAMR model. I think it's very simple and flexible. And you can use it for technology that you've been using in your classroom for a long time or stuff that you're using for the first time. Maybe if you're planning on using Kahoot, you could try practicing a bit of this. But the idea is that, the very basic idea is that technology can be used in a bunch of different ways. And this is kind of categorizing it in these different tiers. So like, for example, a piece of technology can be used as a direct substitute for something that you're already doing, or you could take advantage of a specific function of this tool and use it to improve a part of your classroom, or you could modify it in a way that you create a task completely using this tool, or you could use it in the redefinition stage as kind of a new task that wouldn't be possible without the tool. So yeah, I think this is a great model that you can use. And yeah, I'll refer back to this a bit later. But I would love for us to spend our time on Kahoot itself. I just have a couple of questions to ask about it, and then we're going to jump on into some of its features here. First of which is, what is Kahoot? Just a short definition, so we're all on the same page. I say it's a game-based formative assessment tool. So with that, the features that kind of back that up a bit is things like using game elements to kind of help with motivation and engagement. You can use it if you spend the time, you can build out your own question banks, or you could pull from a vast library of resources. I'll show you how to get access to that. Another thing that you can do is do analysis through reports, and you can use that to improve your instruction. They have a nickname generator. I mentioned that. This works really well on like tablets and things, phones. So you can download the app and it works really well through that, or you could just use the Wayne browser, web browser. This supports multiple languages on here, and it even has a really nice math equation editor, which I know is kind of a, you know, it's hard to find the right tool if they don't have those specific symbols and things that you wouldn't typically use for a math class. So I think that's a huge boon here. So finally, where can you access it? You can do it through Kahoot.com, which is where we are going to go now. Okay, let's get ourselves started here. And you can do that by going up to the top right-hand corner and clicking that big old green button that says sign up. You can do, once you specify what type of account that you have, you can log in using like a Google account or Microsoft one or an Apple one, or you could use an old account that you've had from before. I'm actually going to go back a little bit here. I've gone a little bit too far. And I'm going to log in with my account that I already have, but the setup process is quite easy. And depending on what you put in there, will give you recommendations on Kahoots as well. So you can get kind of nice filtered recommendations here. But once you get yourself logged in here, you'll be taken to this lovely little dashboard where you can access all the different parts of Kahoot. I'm going to bring everybody's attention to the top left-hand corner here, these tabs that are filled with all sorts of goodies here. We'll talk about home in a second, but let's go to Discover page here. If you go here, you can find different Kahoots that people have already created. They have partnered up with a lot of different companies here, so they have their Kahoots kind of created for them. So you might be able to pull from these resources here. And anything that you pull from here, you can actually make edits to. So I think I already have this Flags of the World one. So if I click on these three dots, I can click duplicate and it will copy put a copy of that inside of my library here. But I think this is fun and worth exploring here. They've got a lot of different subjects. The next tab up here is the library one I just mentioned. Any quiz that you make and any draft that you have here will fit inside of here, and you can make edits on them, or you could play from them directly from here. So really nice to have it all in one place. And if you save a Kahoot that's not done, if you just click on the drafts tab here, it should work quite nicely there. Next is reports. Through this feature, you can see how people answer on here. So like, for example, oh man, I could probably do this one right here that we just did. Let's click on TechTalk example quiz. I can see how many percent of students got it correct, how many people played it, how many questions are in, how long it's been up, what are some difficult questions. What it means by that is like if a question got less than 35%, it will show up on here. or there's a section for need help or did not finish. And so it's quite nice that you could do that. And there's even tabs on here to where you could see how individual players did. You can look up their reports and click on their names to get more information here. Or you could click on the questions, do a bit of an item analysis to see like maybe you need to revisit certain questions or maybe you need to pull off some questions. And there's even a feedback section. So when people take your Kahoot, they leave some feedback, you'll see it in there. And of course, one really nice thing is up where it says report options, you click these 3 dots and you can download a nice little PDF on here, just in case you want to do some more stuff to it. And then finally, groups here. Now on a free account, you can only be a part of one, you can only create one group here, but groups is pretty nice because it's a way that you can collaborate and make Kahoots together with other people. So you can create them, you can share them real easily. It's a real good way to kind of like boost a little bit of collaboration or work with some of your colleagues here to create these. And really all you just need is an email to get it going. So pretty useful, but you are limited to 1 on free accounts like the one I'm using now. All right, next, let's go home. All right, I think it's time to boot up a Kahoot here. I'm back on the home page. I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner and click the big blue button that says create. And I'll just show you how easy it is for you to create a nice little Kahoot here. Now, we could go with a blank one, which we are in a minute. That's this first option that says new Kahoot create, or you could go with these lovely templates. All of these templates, of course, you can change up on the fly. So, but it's just a really great start. They'll put all your slides in there. They'll even give some suggestions on what to do with them. But I'm just going to go with create new Kahoot right here, but explore those templates when you get a chance. Next here, we have where we are going to create. We're really just like, it's kind of built out sort of like if you use PowerPoint or slides. Each slide is its own question and it has its own set of interactives depending on what type of question type it is. So right now we're just doing a basic quiz one. It's multiple choice. If I start in the middle top or it says start typing your question, I can click on that and type out a question. What is 2 + 2? And note that when I started typing that out, I have some formatting options up here. Very basic, but you know, it can get the job done. And if I click on the very last option that says Math Equation Editor, you can see that there's more operations than most people know what to do with here. So it's pretty nice if you're building this out for like a math quiz or a review or of some sort like that. Next, this middle space is reserved for images and videos. You just click add media or drag and drop something in there. And you can either go to an image library where there's some like default stuff up here. This looks fun, little space one. Or you could upload your own images or you could pull something from YouTube. All of that will work quite nicely from you. Now, keep in mind, each question has its own time limit attached to it. And so you can only paste a YouTube link that will match the time limit for your question here. So keep that in mind when you are pulling questions on here. Don't expect to put kind of like a full clip in there. That's probably good enough for me. Now, what's a multiple choice question about some choices? Once again, this is another clicking and typing type deal here. So I go to the bottom and click where it says add answers and add a couple of answers on here. And note that when I click on one, or before I click on one, actually, if I just hover my mouse over it, there is a little button over here on the right-hand side of the choice that says I can add an image as an alternative for the answer. So keep that in mind when you're building out your quizzes. And then finally, you can see them kind of bouncing very happily. It's waiting for me to specify which one of these is going to be the correct answer. I just have to click that little circle, put a little check mark in there. That way it knows it will automatically grade here. All right, now we have a question. If I want to have another one, I can just go to the left side, top left over here, the blue button that says add a question and click on that. I can either add in a quiz question, which is a multiple choice, true, false. or a slide for a free account. So there is a limitation here. These other ones with the crowns are part of premium accounts, which you will need to pay for to get to. So, if you want to stay on the free account, that's fine. If you want to pay for it, it's cool. It's up to you on how useful you see this is. But yeah, I'm going to throw a true or false question in there and say, I don't know, strawberry ice cream is typically pink, something like that. And I'll specify the answer in here. So it's really easy to kind of just put questions in here. Something else to keep in mind is that if I click on question bank, I could look for questions, and that's not just limited to your own library. This searches throughout all of the Kahoot libraries that are out there. So you can get, let's go with that one. What is the Pythagorean theorem? I don't know if I spelled that right. Oh yeah, check that out. And it's so easy. I just type that in. Once I find the one that I want, I click add. And then boom, there it is. I have the question in there, just spat it out for me, even specified which is going to be the correct answer on here. So really nice there. So keep that in mind if you just need a couple more questions to put in your Kahoot here. You do not have to rebuild this from scratch. Now, there are settings on the right-hand side over here. This is specific to the question that you're building at the time. If you want to swap between them, you just click the slides on the left-hand side. Very easy to switch between them. And if you want to change your answer choices here, or answer types, you go to the right-hand corner and click these drop-down menus. We have the question type on here, which will let you switch between multiple choice and true false or a slide. And I don't think I mentioned, but slides are a way to put information on here without actually having a question attached to them. So that might be useful to you. We have the time limit here. This goes from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. We have points on here. You could do standard, double, or no points if you want to remove those stakes from it. And that is totally fine. Sometimes students, they react to the pressure of that competition and having that timer on there differently. So if you just want to remove those points and just do a simple, hey kids, let's just, do a little bit of quiz together, that is fine. And then answer options for the regular accounts is just single select. You can't do a multiple select unless you pay for premium. So keep that in mind. Okay, it's not the best quiz in the world, but it is functional. So I'm going to save this real quick. Top right-hand corner, click that green button that says done right up here. It's going to guide me through doing some finishing touches. Like, of course, it needs a title here. So I'm going to say Tech Talk example 1, 2, 3, 4. I can give it a description and click continue. Then after validating, it's going to give me a few things. One, I could click and test this Kahoot to make sure it is working properly. And that's kind of what I was doing with you all earlier today. You can test out your own Kahoots. You can click play now to go ahead and get it started, or you can click share with others. If you do that, it will give you a unique link of your Kahoot that you can share through like messaging or email, or you could send it through Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or if you use Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, all that stuff. I even see remind and email on here. Very nice options for you. So if you already use things like Google Classroom and you have something set up for you, this works great through that integration. But I'm going to say I'm done for right now. Okay, we're going to wrap up the showcase in a little bit here, but something that I want to point out on here. So if you ever want to change anything on your quiz once it's done, make sure that you go to the library and then click edit. And you can do that. Additionally, something that you can do is if you're at home and you can go over to your Kahoots on the right-hand side here. So I'm going to click on that TechTalk example. That way it will take me to kind of like an overview page here. So you can see your questions, you can see your answers, you can choose to play here. That is fine. You can click these 3 dots and either duplicate or add to a collection or delete it. Not a problem. It's quite easy to use here. But I'm going to click on play here. So there's two ways that you can give your Kahoot to your students. Either you could do as a teaching live game, which is kind of the classic mode, or you can assign it as for students to work at it at their self-pace, so they can work at their own time frame here. So this is nice. Or you could use this device as kind of like a single player game practice deal. But I'm going to click on Teach, the live version. I'm just going to load this up, but there are some game options down here that I think are worth looking through. Like, for example, that friendly nickname generator. I think it's a good idea to turn that on, unless you just want to have their names on there and you trust them. Something I like to have that on that I didn't have on for an example is showing questions and answers on their players' devices. If they have the space for it, I think this works really nicely for like if you're trying to do a Kahoot through video conferencing, or you just want to make everything a bit more accessible, because sometimes it is weird to look up at the screen and then look back down and try to answer on there. They got randomization options down here as well. And if this is the first time for your students on here as well, showing minimized and intro instructions is probably a good idea as well. But once you have those game options taken care of, you go to the top and either select one of these two buttons, either the classic mode, which is everybody has their own device, or you could do a team versus team if you need to share a device, totally fine. But once you select one of these options, you'll be taken to this screen, which I think you are all familiar with by now. It even plays some nice music, well, you probably can't hear it by now. But if you ever want to turn it up, top right-hand corner, there's a little volume button that you can turn that off if it's distracting. All right, we are almost done here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me and listening to me talk about about Kahoot. I think it's a wonderful tool, but I just want to nail down home a few things. First of which being, I want you to try to visualize what this tool might look like inside of your classroom, because you might have already, as we were going through, you might have already come through some things, ways that you can use it. Just in case you need a couple of ideas, I do want to bring up some applications, some suggestions on here on how to use Kahoot. Under the framework of the Sandler model here. So I'm giving you a couple of activities, ways you could use it. Like, for example, if you're kind of at that first stage there, it's the substitution phase, I think this is great for as an alternative to an in-person quiz. Just, kind of break up that test anxiety, make it a little bit more fun for your students, a little bit more engaging here. And I think this is great for that. Another type of activity would be this augmentation activity, just assigning the Kahoot as a homework. That way the students don't feel pressured. They can get that review. They can try repeating it for some more practice on there. You can put as many questions as you'd like on that Kahoot. And so I think this is really good to just give those students that practice there. Next, a modification style activity would be to share those live classroom results and use it to drive your instruction on here. I think this is a great way to make your instruction a bit more flexible and address the needs of your students. And then finally, a redefinition style activity would be kind of putting the power in the students' hands here. Challenge them to go in with an account. You could have them sign in with like a Gmail one that they're using or something, or if they're already using like Google Classroom. And then when they can kind of create their own on here, you could say like, okay, we just went through this unit. I want you to look through all the information we have and try to guess kind of what questions you would ask or that I would ask. And I think you might even be able to they might even be able to come up with really good questions that you can kind of pull and use in your own quizzes a bit later. So I think that's kind of a fun way to take advantage of that. All right, I see I got a minute or so. Let's wrap this up. These next two pages are some links that I think are going to be really useful for you, just giving you more ideas or helping you review anything that I've talked about here. In particular, I think it's worth visiting this last link that compares Kahoot quizzes, Quizlet Live, and GimKit, just so you can find the right tool for your classroom. Next page is devoted to the Sandler model. Even if Kahoot didn't resonate with you, that's fine. If you plan on using technology, I think the Sandler model is going to work out for you. And then finally, this last page, a big thank you for everybody that's listened to me talk up to this point. I appreciate it. I'm going to share an evaluation link here, which is case sensitive, so I'm going to read it real quick. It's going to be lowercase t period ly slash lowercase ggz as in zebra, that's 2 G's and a Z, and then uppercase K there. And this is a short one page, just a few questions on there, and it helps us tremendously because it makes our next Tech Talks even better. Just in case, I did put our names on here. I'm Kashawn Hopkins. I'm joined here with Kurt Bernhardt. We're part of the technology team, which you can reach out at techteam@opsrc.net. I also have the link to the slides on here just in case, but an even better place to check out to get those slides would be at opsrc.net/techtalks, our little Tech Talks page that we have here. And this is worth exploring because not only has our upcoming Tech Talks on here and the ones that I'm going to do pretty soon, I'm very excited about these future ones, but we have a suggest a future Tech Talk tool, future tech tool. There we go, a little tongue twister for me. And down over here, we have our previous Tech Talks that we've done organized in a lovely little archive. And this one's about to go into the archives in a minute. So with that, I'm out of time. I just want to say thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day.